what have you done for me lately? It's Coons, what have y'all done for us lately? And if there's no answer, the only thing we owe them.
Welcome to Let's Talk Too. Tonight we have the one and only Alif Muhammad. If you know anything about the city of Newark, New Jersey, you'll know that this brother, this man has, I would like to say, put his work in. He's well established in the city. I personally never honestly met him, but I've known him basically all my life through mutual friends, mutual brothers, and he is an individual who comes highly recommended. A lot of integrity. Anybody that knows him knows that if Alif tell you something, that's his word. Um, and his word is golden. And if he suggested you do something, advises you, um, he don't even know that I'm about to say this. A lot of people didn't listen to his advice, and they had to deal with the consequences of not listening to him. So, without further ado, Alif Muhammad, Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum assalam, my brother. Good evening. Hey, man, that intro, that guy was laying on that bass, baby. Don't your intro? Yeah, it was laying on that bass, man. I like that and stuff, man. Thanks for inviting me, man. This is great, man. This is great.
So Alif, before we get into this tape that you had, this recording that you had from over 4 years ago,
Right.
Explain to everybody who you are. You know, you're a Newark native. I know for a fact, and just explain to everybody who you are. Like I said, I know you as the boxing promoter.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, I'm Alif Muhammad. I was born and raised in Central Ward on Waverly Avenue on Livingston Street, right across from the Little Bricks. My mother opened up a restaurant. And that was something different. She had a restaurant, not no chicken shack, in 1953 on the corner of Waverly Avenue on Livingston Street. So I grew up in Little Bricks. I went to 18th Avenue School, then to Madison, then to Broadway, and end up in the Weekway High School in India. So what changed my life was in the late 69, early 70s, I accepted the teachers on the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and became Nation Islam. And the problem was my mother had to sign for me because I was only 16. But the big problem was when you joined the nation, you were 16, they considered you a man. So they used to have FOIs and they had junior FOIs. So I became a man at 16 years old because I had to be with the older guys, 30, 40, 50 years old. I was with them. I had to sell papers. So, after I graduated from school, I started a business where I started selling clothes out of the trunk of my car. And I used to go to Orchard Street before everybody else did, and I would buy wholesale. And I was famous on Orchard Street because I would walk in, and the Jews said, the Muslim guy comes in, he buys 100 pairs at a time. He buys 50 suits at a time. So, I did that for a living, and I made a very good living. Back then, your apartment was only $80 your car note. I was making like $1,000 a week, which is a lot of money back then in the early 70s and stuff. I got married, I did work, and then I had some other children. And then in the 70s, formed a company with other brothers, the famous Ahmed Abeina and Salik Salam, and we started promoting. And the first thing we were promoting, because Elijah Muhammad that died, the Muslims started partying. You know, they was allowed to go out, and so we started doing the disco and the Latin and stuff, and a lot of them was Latinas. So we start promoting. So I became a promoter, and I was the first person other than with Chris Bond to do the first show at Zanzibar when it opened up. I did the Whispers, and it was so packed that we had to shut the show down because they were just crashing the Whispers and stuff. So then from there in the 80s, I had a security business, was dealing with personal injury and everything, and I was promoting. Then somehow I met a guy in New York, and to come to find out the guy shared the office with Butch Lewis, who was the boxer promoter. That boxer that people don't know was the one that made Leon Spinks beat Ali. He knew Leon Spinks could beat Ali in seven fights. Then he had Michael Spinks. Yeah, Bernard Hopkins. So we became friends, and I became his sounding board. You know, you always need somebody with you to say, "No, they wrote you wrong," and that's what I was to him. You know, and he was a character. He wore the tuxedo without the shirt on and everything like that. So years kept coming, and I was really promoting. I became one of the busiest promoters in the New York area. Miles Davis, Roberta Flack, Grover Washington, the Whispers, the Old Days. I ended up doing 30 shows a year from Newark, Symphony Hall, Brooklyn Academy, the Beacon, Lincoln Center, Hartford, Stanford, Nassau. Did BB King. I mean, not BB King in Tennessee. So I became a promoter, and I went back in the recession, and I went back because it was bad in the personal business. But I went back this time. I became the owner of the chiropractor. I became the owner of the MRI machine, and I became the owner of the cat, and I started making a lot of money. So I had left Newark. I think in '74 I was out there in Elizabeth in the nice, and then I bought a house in '80 in Roselle, and then became wealthy. And I bought a house in Mendham on 6 acres. Only black up there was Whitney Houston at the time and stuff. So I made a lot of money. And then I never forget one day, this was like 85, 86. We was doing Larry Holmes and Michael Spinks, the second fight, because Mike had beat him in the second fight. He was up in the Hilton in this big long room, and everybody was there, like 20 people. And the only African Americans was Don King, Butch Lewis, and myself. And I looked around the table and I said, damn. I said, everybody else is here is educated but us. Then Bill Cosby walking the door, and I said, shit, he got a PhD. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to give back to the community. I would do things. I ended up renovating the masjid, the old masjid on South Orange Avenue, and buying other things in the masjid. But I knew the key was education, because with my oldest children, I made sure they went to the best schools and everything. You know, they went to the Academy, VLD. They went to the best schools because education was the key to a lot. So a bunch of Muslims, we all supposed to get together, 14, and open up a masjid and a school. When it was time to put the money up, I was by myself. So, you know, I got some balls, you know. So I did it. And when I opened up the school, I thought it was going to cost me 50 grand, and it ended up costing me 350,000 the first year. And then I fell in love because I didn't know how bad of a shape the urban kids was. You know, they were in bad shape, man. The kids couldn't read, man, in the 5th grade. Kids in high school didn't know what biology was. They didn't know. So, you know, at the time, I had a good wife, and she was about religion and about good things and stuff, and she supported me. And we stayed with the school. We ended up losing, you know, all big $1 million homes, the cows and everything. It was more important to educate the kids. So from now to here, I'm educated over 5,000 kids out of that school. We sent 2,000 to college. So me being not a politician, I told a story the other day that in 1986, Akbar Prey came up with the idea of let's do politics. And Akbar liked about me, I was on a legitimate side, you know, and Akbar is smart. He's very smart. People don't know that. He tend to wrap his arms around me because every street guy, their dream is to be legit. You know, people think your dream is to be out, and no, your dream is to be legit. And we came up with a group with 400 men, 400 Muslims. And it was mixed. It was street guys, but it was straight guys and stuff. And call ourselves, we're going to take over politics and stuff like that. And we made one mistake. When I wanted to go with Sharp James in 86, Akbar didn't, and he overruled me. And Sharp James changed and changed the whole town. And Akbar, he became, like he says, where he's convicted for, where it was, he became the biggest guy on the street, And at that time, I was out of politics. I said, I'm not out of politics. That was I just had a feeling that Sharp was going to win because Gibson would have been there 16 years. And Gibson, he was a good guy, but he was not accessible. You'll walk up and talk to him and stuff, man. And he looked at you like crazy, man. I'm like, bro, I got the heavyweight champ here in your office. You're like, huh? I'm like, man, what's wrong with him, man? So I wanted to go with Sharp, who I didn't know. I just knew that South Ward crew was tight. They used to all hang out at the annex over there by Weekway, And so I stopped doing politics. I was doing the school and doing everything, making money, and moved. And what happened was Booker won. Booker won. I was with Sharp when he ran against Booker, and Booker won. And Booker to me was what they call a carpetbagger. You don't live in multi-millionaire area. He was living in Harrington, where that's IBM country. His mother and father were the first people to start. Blacks work for IBM. You don't move from Harrington to $1 million house and move to brick towers where there's no elevators, no hot water. You go to Society Hill, you go to 1180 if you want to help out, and you go somewhere nice, but you don't go. So I just felt he's full of junk. So we tolerated him the years because Newark was his stepping stone, which he showed you. He became a senator, so you got to give him his props, And then it was time to run, and I tried to get Donald Payne Jr. to run, and at that time his father had passed away and he was going to Congress. So all of a sudden somebody came up and said, "Hey man, Roz is running." So I said, "Roz is running." And I knew him because in my school I was helping a lot of kids and stuff from the high schools, because a lot of the high school kids from Shabazz and Woodway, the great Shabazz teams, their grades was missing, so they was allowed to come to my school and make up the grades, and they end up going to college and getting their scholarships. And I think we did about maybe 200 of them, and some of the great ones. Some of the great ones that came out of Shabazz, Weekway, and all that. So I knew him, but I didn't know him. I knew him. I knew his sister. I used to date her 40 years ago. She was fine, man. She was fine. She was fine. And I used to date her, and I, of course, I knew the father because he was big in the 70s, and I was in the nation. So I said, you know what, this guy can win. So I seen Roz one day, and I said, hey man, what's up? So we got to cut a deal. So he said, what's the deal? So I said, the deal is I want nothing. So he looked at me strange. I said, I don't want nothing, man. I don't want no job. I don't want no contracts. I don't want no money. I just want you to do better for Newark. And I'm going to be down with you all the way. I'll be down with you all the way. I said, remember that. And he looked at me, he looked weird and stuff. Now he heard me and he didn't know who I was. He knew I was, but he didn't. I said, no, I don't want nothing. And that's how I got back to politics.
Wow. Wow. Talk about a 360, right? so Alif, man, explain your role when as the housing commissioner, what that role is, how it's a federally funded program, and what your job responsibilities were as the housing commissioner.
Okay, what happened was in 2019, I was at the African American parade, and my mom came, my Muhammad. He said, hey, man, we need to go in the housing authority. I said, bro, I told you I don't want to be a part of y'all. I just, leave me alone. I just want to help out because I was doing so much of them. People said, Alif hustling, he making some money or he got something going on. And it wasn't. I just say, so I don't want to do nothing with you. They have brought other ideas to me about working with my school because they were doing GEDs. And the GEDs wasn't being successful. I said, I don't want to be no co-pro. I don't want nobody to think that we doing nothing together. So that day he asked me 3 times. He came back 3 times. I said, no. So I had my girlfriend with me. So why don't you think about it? So I said, all right, I'll think about it, but no. So Mitty came over, and me and Mitty became tight because I was supporting them. Like, man, we need you in the housing authority. I said, what's the matter? He said, man, we need your help. So I said, cool. So he said, I want you to be a commissioner. Now, I didn't know what the commission is. I just knew at the time that they were the head of the housing authority, but I didn't know. So me, before I jump into something, I'm going to read. And then what I understood, the housing authority, the commissioner is the top level of the housing authority, but they don't run it day to day. They control the budget, they control the ED, they control making sure there's no laws breaking, the resolutions. But the day to day, I'm coming in and say, I'm going to hire you, fire you, or this and that and this and that. So I got in there, and within the first 30 days, right? So the first 30 days, I said, damn, something wrong here, man. Because I met the and he was like talking to me, and I said, his name was Victor Sorellos. I said, did you read my bio? So he said, no. I said, no, did you read my bio? So he said, why you keep saying that, Commissioner? I said, because I'm independent, I'm a maverick. I'm here to put my foot in your ass. So he said, well, I said, you heard me. They must want me to put my foot in because I'm a no-nonsense guy. So I started seeing things happen. So my man Smooth, my sidekick, my right-hand man, he plays cards with all these maintenance men. There's about 20 of them that play cards every Friday and stuff, right? And he was saying, maybe talk about the housing authority like a dog. So he said, man, come on down and see Alif. And some of them had came from the bricks. I knew their fathers or their uncles, so they knew of me, but they didn't know me. So they came down to the office, like 20 of them. They was all in my office, man. And they just started talking. I just started listening. Like, this ain't right, that ain't right. And I'm like, damn, man. So at that point, it opened my eyes up on a lot of things. Then I was seeing things, and I went back to the man. And I said, yo, man, this guy you got is a liar. You can't have a liar in charge. No, man, we know, but we're going to just roll with him. And I'm like, Mr. Man, right, they taking, it's money being taken. And then first thing in New Jersey, they make you take 5 classes. Rutgers University classes. And then when I started taking classes, I was like, man, the city don't supposed to be a part of it. The cities have to be on one side, and the house on the other side because it's federal money. And you will see old tapes and videos with Gibson when they have the famous strike and Stella Wright and all that. And he's talking. And well, I don't have anything with the housing authority. And then other mayors will say, I don't have anything, which is true. They don't supposed to have anything to do with it. They just appoint the commissioners, but it's going to be separate because if the mayor is running the city and running the house, that's a lot of power. And majority of the money from the housing authority is federal money. So I understand from coming from the street, it's a difference between federal, state, and city. You could do something city, and you can do something county, and they might, you might have some smile on face, but feds, it's a different game, So, I'm older now, like, bro, I done been on do a lot of things. So I kept telling them, this is federal, man. Y'all got to think this way. And everybody like, okay. And, they running and stuff. I'm like, bro, this deal is bad. They would call me down and say, Ali, why aren't you knocking that deal? I said, because it's a bad deal, man. Yeah, man, but this is the mayor's wife's sister, girlfriend, and this is the man. I said, bro, I don't care. It's still a bad deal. It's a bad deal. And then it grew to a point where I would, the commissioners had a car. I would visit every site in the house authority, 25, once a week. I would visit. So I started getting to know who it is. And it was funny because the ED used to go with me, and he went back and told him, man, he said, I rode with Commissioner Muhammad, and everywhere he went, somebody knew him. So I said, yeah. He said, no, man. Everywhere we went, they was like, hey, Ali, what's up? What's happening? Ali, maintenance man, street guard. He said, everybody knows him. So, I was like, no, you don't know that. But he was saying, damn, this guy got power. He just walking around in town. He get out of the car, and everybody like respect. So when I started seeing the problems more and more, and I was seeing the vendors that wasn't doing the right thing, and I'm like, so I told the mayor one time, I said, I'm gonna try to see if we can look at some of these deals and do like Sharp did. When Sharp took sanitation, when you came home, he sent you down to sanitation. And a lot of my friends, so 40, that's 70, 80, 60, 70 years old, they sent them down there, and they was either stick up men or they were selling drugs. It changed their life. Now they got 30 years. They got pensions, they got insurance. You see them now, you don't even know they was. I said, man, that dude was the best thing man in the town and stuff, you know. And little Amos Credits out of nobody. I knew Amos as a little kid, and Amos got in trouble running around with some people, and they were angry at Amos because they thought he was weak, and they was talking about back in the street days what's gonna happen. I said, ain't nothing gonna happen to Amos. I don't think he know to the day until the day. I said, I'm not gonna happen to Amos because Amos shouldn't have been with y'all. He was only 17, 18 years old. He shouldn't have been there with y'all. So he come home, y'all give him a job on sanitation. He go from sanitation to director. Now he's around playing golf and everything like that, right from the South Ward. So I was saying that's what I want to do. So a commissioner job is to look for fraud, make sure the money is spent right, and make sure you get the most out of the money. That's what a commissioner does. But not the day to day. I can't walk in and fire you or something like that. People think that. And some commissioners, they could, you know, I don't like this. And, you know, so I learned about departments that you can't just go in and give somebody an apartment, or you can't go and just give somebody this. It's a process, and it's a process set up by organization HUD, which is the housing of the, it's a federal thing. And it's guidelines because it's criminal stuff in it. Strong guidelines where you can't do this and you can't do, and things have to balance out. And when I start, you know, as a commissioner, I started speaking out. Because I remember the first meeting, we had like 8 resolutions. So they would say, okay, we're going to do the resolutions. And most of them do the resolutions. Okay. They said 1 to 8. So I said, 1 to 8. They said, yeah, resolution 1 to 8. Vote. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean? I said, no, we got to say each resolution by itself. And we need to make comments on it to say what's going on. But they had just put it together, and that was it. You know, okay, let's go. And then a woman got up and said that she had mold in the house. And I said, and they were listening there, and then somebody said, oh, she comes every month to speak. So I said, can I see the pictures? Can I see the I said, it wasn't mold, it was grass, it was black grass. I'm like, oh my God. So I said, look at this. This is black. This ain't mold like you see up. This is black grass. It was so much mold. And she had lupus. So I'm like, what are you doing? So I made them go up there. They brought the hazardous people in. They shut down the apartment, all kind of stuff. I'm like, what's going on? This lady been coming here once a month. Y'all don't even looking at it and stuff. But it was all about just okaying the things and moving along. So at that point, I started asking questions about everything. They give you a report card. Why are we getting the F? Why are we only renting this person? Why are we only? And Eddie Osborne, who was the chairman and also was the county, he said, Commissioner, no commissioner ever did this in 30 years. Ask questions. That's why I'm gonna ask questions, man. Because this is low income people, man. This is the people we look. These are senior citizens. These are people that's just, and we told them look out for these people, man. You know, we can't. He said, yeah, you're right. So I'm gonna ask every question. I'm gonna get when I get these vendors down here. You know, these people thinking vendors and all that stuff down here and stuff like that, man. I was like, yo, man, and they was like, they didn't care. So that's what a commissioner does. At least that's what a commissioner is supposed to do.
So everybody, like they say, you the talk of the town, and I know, from your promoter days, dang, at least you won't be the talk of the town for promoting a big fight that's coming to the city. Well, you're supposed to be promoting Shakur Stevenson coming to the city, but that's a whole other topic there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Because his grandfather, I used to train him in karate. Well, he was a karate man, hell of a karate man. So I'm so proud of that situation and the way he loved New York. And while he was always a stand-up dude, quiet but dangerous. Come down there from Pennsylvania out of Valley and stuff. Don't say nothing to nobody, ain't disrespectful, but will hurt you. And to take a kid, because I've been around the boxes. Of course, I was around Muhammad Ali. I used to sell him clothes in 1973 and 74. I used to go up to camp. Champ would just buy everything I got because I was his little brother and stuff. And then, when I was out in Vegas doing fight, he would always look for me when he come in town. And he's a practical joker. He would walk up behind me and I'd be eating. He would put his hands on his eyes. Nigga, who this? I said, come on, champ. He said, how you know it's me, nigga? He was funny and stuff. And he was like, what you eating? I said, soup. He said, give me that spoon. He said, y'all got to get him something else. I'm taking this. But he was a great guy. So I had been around the boxing. I had seen boxing at its best. You see on a different level. So when I see Wally, I was somewhere at a boxing thing, right? And Shakur, Wally came, he's happy to see me. this karate thing, you always have respect for your teacher. So you always, humble. And he said, man, I got a grandson, man. And he's something else. He's like 13, 14. I said, yeah. He said, he wanted to jump in. He was running it down. I said, yeah. He said, yeah. So me, I go Google it. And I said, oh, man, bad. So I called Star Legend because they had did an article on me about basketball to say I was the king of basketball, controversy been king of basketball, right? Because I had teams and my team became number 6 in the country in the second year. And, so, it was a lot of controversy. And plus, I was talking junk and everything, And I called him. I said, do an article on that kid. So he was special. He was special.
Well, so the video, the infamous video committee. So now, what happened with this one particular vendor that you were consistently trying to tell him, no, I'm not signing off on this?
So the first year I got him, right? So I'm like, damn, this guy ain't cutting the grass, you know what I mean? And and I would get complaints from him, like, man. And what they did, they had a brother that I knew that was younger than me from Stella Wright. He was like the manager, and he was going around. So I was watching. I said, that's pretty cool, man. So I said, I was talking to Mitty about something, and I said, man, I want to bring the landscaping back in the house. Plus, not only we have for landscape, we can have for snow. Plus, we can give 11 jokers from North Charles, man, and change their lives. So he never told me to say I want to do it. So I did it the first time. I did what we call a verbal resolution. That was in 2020. I did a verbal resolution. This is during the pandemic. And they listened to me how it would benefit the country, it would benefit the city, it would help people with jobs, it made stable, and plus we get a better job, plus we have for snow removal. So it was funny because Eddie Osborne was the chair. He let me roll for half an hour. I'm talking. So he said, Commissioner, the only problem you got is that resolution is not in front of us. The only thing is in front of us is this resolution. So we got to vote on this. So I said, touche, you got me. You know what I mean? So the next year, I want the resolution. So they ducking, hiding, the lawyer ducking. So I said, all right, I know law. So we do the resolution and it passes, right? Now, prior to that, I've been calling Mitty, and the mayor sent him letters. Hey, man, this guy, usually 600,000. He done bought the thing up to 2.3. Come to find out, my executive director was living right next door to the guy in West Orange. I didn't know it. So they was like 2.3. And the way they wrote the contract, you can write a contract and say $2 million for 4 years, but you got to say this much for this year. It was like $2 million for 4 years, but you can use it in 1 year. You can fill up. You go, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Charge it, and now hey man, we all out. The contract is over and stuff. So we won. So 10 minutes after the meeting. The people setting it up, the HR to get the people. Mitty called me, and I had told Mitty that he had a problem. He's very emotional. I said, you have a problem. You hear stuff, you just react, and you can't do that to me, dude. I'm a street guy. You can't react. You said something to me, then bring that joker to me. That's the way I come from. He'll say, oh, you did this. And I'm like, where you get that from? I said, you can't do that. So he did it to me twice. And I said, you can't do that to me the third time. So when he called, I said, oh, this guy, I know he ain't watched the tape or nothing for an hour. He just jumped up and called me. So I went and answered his phone. So he called me like 30 times between Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So he had LaMonica call me because that was my girl and stuff, And then she said, they want to start, they on my ass. They want to get on the phone. I said, no, I'm not talking to him. I told him he couldn't do that to me. And they had Brian Logan call me, who was my boy with the weak way in football. And I said, I'm not talking to him. So Eddie Osborne called. I said, Eddie, I'm not talking. I said, but you can do what you want because you Team Barack, and I don't want to mess up your chances of not staying elected, but you're a good dude. He's like, Alif, you right, man. I said, but I ain't got a problem with you because if you're gonna cross me, just tell me, yo, man, I'm gonna cross you. I respect it. The thing is when you don't know and then somebody blindsides you, that's what makes you angry. Cross me, yeah, man, I gotta cross you. I gotta do this. I wouldn't have had no problem with it. So what happened? He kept calling. So Monday came, and I had went to a funeral in over Chancellor Avenue, good brother and stuff. That was a barber that died. We was there. So when I come in, my man said, Mitty was here. I said, Mitty was where? He said, here. So I said, oh, okay. Why did you call me? He said, I don't like the Negro. I said, wow. He said, he came in, you come in and say, good morning or how you doing, especially a guy that's older than you, old enough to be your father. Hey, sir, is Alif here? So he come in, yeah, he here. So he said, no, he ain't here. He said, well, I'm going to sit and wait for me. I said, oh. So I said, we a little gangster, huh? Right? So he sat for 45 minutes, but I was at the funeral. So when I came back, I said, okay. So we sitting there talking. He walks in the door. So he walks in the door. And I said, oh, you was a bad joker. You just walked in at Death Valley. So we started talking. And my guy stepped out. And that's how the video starts. So we started talking. And he's like, well, I said, wait, whoa. First, this is my office. When I go over there, you talk first. So we talked and everything, and I was just reminding them that I was loyal to them and that I did this for them, I did this for that, and I spent $40,000 for 2 elections, and I never wanted nothing, and I'm living with the thing and everything, and blah, 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 you're gonna get back. So back and forth, that's what you see on the tape, us going back, where he's starting to convince me, no, let's change it around and everything. So I said, this guy's no good, man. He like, oh, blah, blah. So we going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I'm saying, no, I'm not changed. I'm no. One time I said, no, I thought something was wrong with me when I watched the tape. I was like, no. I must have said like I was like, I had a deficiency. I said no so many times. So what happened? He got cute with me, Then, the old Alif came out, and that's when you hear where I said, MF, this my town, nigga. We nobody F with Alif Muhammad. That's the old me that you gonna disrespect me in my town? Oh, it ain't happening. Forget about the office. Ain't nobody disrespecting me in North New Jersey. That ain't happening. It ain't never happened. Ain't nobody taking them from me. So we finished talking. So he asked me to think about it and come back another day. So he comes back the next day. So first I went to City Hall to see him. He wasn't there. So I come in. So he calls me and he's like, yeah, man, we didn't put you there to vote against us and to go against us. I say, man, you shouldn't be talking to me on the phone because this is crazy. You saying you put me there to do what you want me to do. I'm not down like that. I'm independent. So when he comes in the door, he comes back. So he starts talking. He said, man, the mayor, we don't want to talk about the mayor. Say this is it and that. So I said, okay. So he's like, well, don't you want to say something? I said, I ain't got no problem talking. I said, but for now on, little bro, watch what you say to me. You know what I mean? I come from, we don't sneak. I give you a fair one. I'm gonna give you a fair. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I'm gonna do to you. If y'all try to move, y'all mess with my integrity and try to move this, it's gonna have a problem. And y'all always thought I was some kind of drug dealer or I'm gonna shoot it up. This is Alif greatest, and you're gonna have a problem, and I'm not gonna let you go. So he leaves. So the next day they put up they just throw my stuff out and they put up another thing. So I said, wait a minute, before you put it up, let's go in executive session and talk about it. No. So they voted it in. So I said, look, I'm getting ready to send this to the feds. Now, if y'all do this, I'm gonna send this to the feds. So like, yeah, we're gonna do it. We don't, so I hit the button, boom. All right. So the next day, Monica called me and said, yo, man, they trying to remove you. I said, what do you mean they're trying to remove you? They're gonna try to take you off and stuff. So I said, huh? For what? So back and forth. But I heard they was gonna try to take me off. I called somebody. I said, tell the mayor, because I thought the mayor had to do it. I said, man, call the mayor, stay out of this, because I'm gonna be well in this stuff, man. So I said, I have a video and I got witnesses. So back and forth. So finally they come and serve me. They served me one time in the town, but they come to the house. When they come to the house, the clerk of the city of Newark comes in, knock on my door on a Saturday. I'm like, well, man, what's up? He said, it's coming for the removal. So I said, come on in, what's up? He said, man, this is frivolous, man. There's nothing here action to remove you. You ain't stolen nothing. You ain't did no fraud. Something is going on. I said, they want me to change my vote. So he said, change your vote. He said, that's illegal. That's illegal. You can't do that. So I said, well, I'm working with the federal authority. He said, you are? I said, yeah, let me get him on the phone. He said, no. It's okay. You will get on the phone. I believe you. He said, let me go try to talk. Well, Mildred at the time was the president. She's sick. Let me go try to talk to say if we can squash this, because there's nothing here to remove you. Oh, you went out with a manager. I said, yeah, I went out with her. I sent her son went to football, got a scholarship. We friends. I put her son in college on for a scholarship. We friends. And then the man, I said, we friends too. Ain't nothing happening. I'm an old man, she old woman, but we friends. And I mean, it's BS. Well, you jump on people. I say, I jump on everybody if it's about Newark. That's my passion of the city. So anyway, he decided that he couldn't do it. So I filed what they call a motion to stop it. And the court was closed. So being that the court was closed, generally you give a courtesy when somebody filed. They went on with it. So now I'm downloading my man is downloading the video. I said, yeah, because when you got security cameras, after 30 days or 60 days, everything erased on the server. So I said, man, we got to get this off so I can show with y'all being witness of what happened. So he downloaded and I hear a voice. So I said, what the hell is that? He said, that's you. So like, we got audio? He said, yeah. I said, damn, because they put the new cameras in. The state of New Jersey gives us about 20 grand for security. So while we was out during the pandemic, I just told him to give me the best cameras. I didn't know what cameras it was. So I said, oh man, audio. Oh, check me.
Oh, so you never knew the whole time that this video was being recorded in the cloud?
I knew we had video, but I didn't know we had audio. You know, I had video because I was like, yeah, we got the video, and I'm gonna bring my 3 witnesses. And then when he went to download it, he said, we got audio. I said, oh my God, but we wasn't there when they put it in. We just told the guy, just give us the best cameras, you know? And it happened that the cameras they were in color and they were audio. So I'm like, check me. So now I go back to the clerk and say, hey man, I got cameras. I want to bring this in, but it's audio. So he said, you got audio? So he said, man, I can't let this come in. He said, I can't let this come in. You know, he said, we all be in trouble. So he said, don't worry about it. You know, we're going to dismiss it. So while I go back to the office, I get a phone call from Monica. So she said, look, the mayor want to meet you. So I'm like, man, F the mayor, because come to find out, the mayor should have came see me first. He can't even talk to me. I'm the one that went to him. He should have had enough spec to go, let me go talk to Alif and see if we can work this thing out. He never showed. And then Smooth don't make it no better because, you know, it's disrespectful, you know, it's disrespectful. You know, man ain't come to you, man. First place, you don't know to be a father. And then, you know, you looking at all this stuff, you know, respect it. You know, like, no, I ain't coming. So finally she begged me, oh, please. They put pressure on me, please. So I said, okay. So he meets us up. He's training at someplace, weightlifting and Maplewood. So we stand out there and we talk for about 40 minutes. So after we get finished talking, that's when I realized, I said, damn, this guy's a liar. But he's not a good liar because, you know, when you tell a lie, you got to stay in that lie lane. He would say, oh, I don't know this. And then 15 minutes later, he said, yeah, when I read that paper, I said, damn, this guy's a liar. Right? So he said, okay, let's resolve this thing. So I said, all right. So we go away. He said, I got to go because he had to go somewhere. So the next day, I get a call from Rahman Muhammad. So Rahman called me up. He said, hey, I need to come talk to you. So I came over and said, come downstairs. I said, yeah. He said, the mayor want to resolve this. Yeah, you got a suit against the mayor, right? I said, yeah. He said, dismiss the suit, and the mayor said he's going to stop them from removing you. I said, well, the clerk already made the move, but no problem. We're going to have peace. I said, but I told the mayor earlier that I can't stop the investigation. And he agreed with me. I said, the investigation is going. And I also told the mayor that day up there, I said, the FBI is in this. I said, when I reported to the HUD, they came, but they came with the FBI. And I said, let me tell you what the FBI told me. He said, what? I said, the FBI said, this whole town is corrupt. I said, what? I said, so he looked at me. I said, bro, he said the whole town is corrupt. That everybody taking money. Now, I didn't believe that, you know? Like when I left the office, the Fed's office, they laughed at me. I said, I was walking out the door like I lost my first girlfriend in grammar school. You know, I quit you and stuff. And I was walking out like sad, you know, because I'm thinking now I believe in this guy. So I started investigating. I'm like, oh my God. You know? So what happened, they couldn't do nothing about it. 5 days later, I get a phone call from somebody, I won't say his name, you know, strong, one of probably the strongest jokers in this town. Leave me to see. So I go up, I said, what's up, baby? He said, man, Mitty called me and said that he needs you to resign. I said, I just made a deal with him 5 days ago. He said, yeah, man, but he's resigned. So I called right now. I said, well, we just made a deal. He said, I'm going to go talk to the mayor and see what's going on. And he come back, the mayor say he didn't know. And I said, well, bro, we just made an agreement. You know what I mean? And you break an agreement already. So I knew what I was in from then on. You know what I mean? I knew what I was in. But the video, I didn't know I had audio. I knew it was a video, but I didn't know because there's some things I done said in my office. I don't want nobody to leave and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You know, because we talking like boys. Yeah, we did this and that. I don't know, but I'm like, whoa, you know, whoa, but that's what it is. That's what it is.
So after they got you to resign, I know you had this video and you never said nothing, and I seen
Because let me tell you why I didn't. When the FBI couldn't help me, stop me from me because I needed to treat me as a whistleblower. The city can't do that. So they said because you're not an employee of the Housing Authority, the commissioner, they can't do nothing to help me. Plus, they said we got 2 felonies against them right now. So he said we got 2 felonies on just what you told us that they came to your office there. I didn't know, and they gave me what the felonies was, you know. They said we got 2. So I said, I'm not here for y'all. I'm not here for y'all. I'm here for the people. So he said, okay, Ali, we're gonna play it your way. You know what I mean? So what happened? I was talking with the feds, but I was leery. So I never so to keep everybody off me, I had the tape. They know I had the tape. Because if I'd have told the feds I had the tape, they wanted to take the tape. You follow me? So I use that for leverage so I can get things done, try to get things done. You know what I mean? And everything. That's why nobody bothered me. That's why they let me say anything. They stayed out the way because they knew I had the tape. So what happened is statute of limitation is coming up soon. And I said, it's time to drop the tape. And that's why I dropped it.
wow. It's an amazing count of events. Knowing, like I said, I don't know you. I didn't know you personally, but I know of you.
Right.
I know from the door you were like, hold up, in the middle of a goddamn conspiracy. You started to get jammed up on no conspiracy stuff. Like, I gotta protect myself. Like, hold up, I know too many people that I done grew up with, rolled with, that got jammed up for less. We know Sharp James basically got jammed up for less.
For a minor and did 2 years because he didn't say this was my girlfriend. All he had to do was say, because he gave 20,000 pieces of land away, the judge said, but he was supposed to say, this is a school, this is my girlfriend. That's why he got 2 years. The feds' laws is completely different. Like somebody was saying today, oh, it was all right for him to come talk to you about it. No, it's a federal law that you cannot convince a commissioner. You can't convince a commissioner to change his vote. You can't do it.
Yeah.
And then it was a thing where the guy said something about pro quo. And he said, and then he said, yeah, it is pro quo. And I'm like, oh my God, in the tape. That's what it is, pro quo. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is crazy, man. You know what I mean? So when people released it, and it went to some people that was former big EDs, and they said, oh my God, this is crazy, man. This is about 8 or 9 felonies in here, man. Yeah. And they don't even realize it because it was an argument that me and Mitty was having. He said, we supposed to run the house. And I said, no, y'all don't. He said, I know we doing. I said, I took the classes. Y'all don't supposed to have nothing to do but to make appointment, and that's it. You know, yeah, you're supposed to do with the master plan and stuff, but it's the reason why, because it's federal money. They cannot let the mayor control this $400 million plus the $1 billion that he got from there. And then, just like with the board education, it's a boundary. Yeah, he can make suggestions. He can vote somebody, but he can't go over there and tell that board and the superintendent what to do. It's too much money.
It's all type of ethic violations. School board is supposed to be a separate entity. Right. And even now, we know about this $500 million bid that just dropped.
Right.
You know, they voted on an anonymous project without it being put up for bid.
Right. You know?
Wow. Wow. So Alif, let me ask you, what's the fallout like? What's everybody saying now? Like, you know,
what's the fallout is 30-40% people don't understand what happened. You know what happened. The other 40% is like, damn, I knew it all the time. I knew we got them and stuff. And then they like, first Mitty come up and say, I was illegally taped, and he don't understand that New Jersey is one person cassette, right? So then the next thing you know, he was telling somebody, I didn't come over there about vote because somebody told him you can't change the vote. You know, I came to talk to him because he was my man. I just want to stop by. So that's where it's at. This is where it's at. So what's happening now? They're hiding it, but the feds have been visiting some of his people around them.
Wow.
So they're hiding it. They're hiding it. You know, oh, they ain't come to see me. They ain't never come to me and stuff. I said they ain't come to Agba either. When they came to him, They came to him and stuff. He didn't see the light for 37 years. You know, you think that's where it's going to come, huh?
Let me ask you, Alif. I know we when we look at
Right,
our history as Black people in this country, and time again, you always hear, "Oh, it's always one of us that take down one of us,"
right.
and a lot of times people use this as a way of getting you to do some dumb stuff,
Right,
trying to make you feel bad, or like they're gonna
right.
take your black card, or take your street credibility for
Yeah.
standing on business on what's the truth instead of co-signing their BS.
Well, see,
Has anything like
I'm so strong in the street because they went to the street to help him when it first happened. The street said, "We can't talk to Ali. He's OG. He's a real OG." I'm too strong in the street. I done did too much for people, man. I done saved people butts. I done saved people from getting hurt. I done had 5,000 kids. They can't my credibility. Like you say, you never met me formally, but you heard of my reputation. But for these people, two things. For these low-income people, for these senior citizens, which I am, and with these other people, yes, I'll work with the FBI. And keep my ass from going to jail or something. I ain't got nothing to do with it. I had nothing to do with it. I used to say that in my board meetings. Y'all are not putting me in jail. I'm too old. I'm too old. All the stuff I've been through, I don't wait to 70-some years old for some stupid stuff that y'all done did. Now I'm in a conspiracy. I said, that ain't happening, man. And I told them that. I said, that's not happening, bro. I'm too sharp. You ain't put me in no conspiracy, man, or nothing like that, because they don't understand. That conspiracy, man, you get the same time. They just don't understand that federal situation. But I was a student of Elijah Muhammad, and he said the way to keep something from a black man is to put it in a book or a newspaper. So I read everything. I read the front and the back, and I was on there. I was like, man, this stuff is federal, man. This is something. And I would tell my commissioners, hey, man, this is federal. This is federal. Like my friend would come up and say, man, I had a friend said to me, yeah, man, Section 8, man, I make too much money, so I can't get it, but I'm going to tell them that I really don't make that much money. And I said, get the F away from me, man. I don't want to hear that, man. I'm supposed to go turn your ass in right now. Get away from me. And then one of my friends was bidding on something, and they came to my office, and I was talking. He said, oh, here's an envelope. And I'm like, okay. And I said, what's an envelope? He said, my bid. I threw it on the ground. I said, what are you doing, man? I can't do that. I can't look at this. This is serious. This is not no joke, man. And all the stuff I'm like, y'all want me to go to jail on some stupid stuff. I mean, all
I
the things.
think for a lot of people, they don't understand is that fraud is fraud.
Yeah,
You can't sugarcoat it. So when you're into that type of stuff, you got to take what come with it.
right.
And a lot of times people will try to justify illegal, fraudulent behavior with saying, oh, it's not fraud because it's you, or
Right.
it's me and you. Like some people just ain't down with committing crimes or being part of what you got going on that may be illegal. They just don't want to be a part of that. And it's,
I always told my kids, my sons, I said, if you out there selling drugs, I'm gonna be in the police. And people like, so my nephew was out on Clinton Avenue on South 10th Street. His mother had did everything to save him. I went up there on South 10th Street 7, 8 years ago. I said, you out here, your mother did everything, send you to private school, send you to Piscataway, doing everything. I said, nigga, if you ain't down my office on a Friday, I'm bringing the police here. So the guys are standing there and they like, who this? He said, that's my uncle, man. Don't, just chill. I said, you ain't doing this to your mother. Somebody got to take a stand, man. Somebody got to take a stand for something right. But you hurting low-income people. You ain't hurting no rich people. You ain't going over there in Forest Hill messing with them because you ain't going to mess with them. But the ones, the little grass or the plumbing or or the door or something like that, or give it, make a deal where the little bricks go for $300,000. I said, you can't buy a house with not a roof on it. You're going to get away because that's your student. No, that's not going to happen. That's thinking Lee got to get $4 million. They said, well, Lee, what you care? That $4 million could go to doors and windows and heaters. I said, what's wrong with you people, man? Now, I don't know. I don't know if it's just my religion or my belief. You know what I mean? That you never hurt the downtrodden. If anything, you lift them up, man. And when you start hearing stories, man, a woman got a hole in her wall ceiling, and it's been like that for 3 years. And they living with that, man. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. And they don't move. They become immune. You know, they become immune. And I'm my brother got killed by the little bricks, shot right in the head, 34 years old, just hustling. Wasn't no street guy, just hustling. Made some money. Niggas try to rob me, step off and kill him. You know what I mean? And, my first partner, they was trying to rob him. We were selling clothes. He opened the door, his mother's house, they shoot him. So I've been through it. I know how I go. I come from this and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is sometimes you got to take a stand. You got to take a stand for what's right, what's good for your soul. You know what I mean? What's good for your soul. And when you see these guys, and I'm thinking they all know, and then they worse because they willing and dealing and making money, and like, don't worry about it, we could do it next year or we could do it this year. Like in the thing, he said, next year, give him $1 million now. $1 million, he's saying. We know he ain't no good. The man is saying, give him $1 million. We know he ain't no good. But they don't care if Harlem. They just want the resolution. They just want the money. That is crazy stuff. I mean, what he's saying is just crazy and stuff, man. I mean, it's deep, man. It's deep.
So, Alif, let me ask you, right? Your assessment. You seen Gibson? You seen Sharp? You seen Corey?
I went out of remember, I want us to see Indonesia.
Yeah, Indonesia.
Right. That's right.
You know the landscape, and a lot of people on the heels of the riots don't understand the landscape of what happened in Newark after the riots. You was a young man then, and you seen the changes.
Yeah.
Is Newark going backwards or forward?
It's going forward, but a different way, just like Jersey City. It's gonna be middle to upper middle class, and they're gonna push us out. They're gonna push us out, and it's gonna go just like Jersey City, because Jersey City was just like Newark until they made that harbor and they started putting them buildings, and then when the people started paying $3,000, or that brownstone was only $50,000, now it's $2 million. That's what changed the neighborhood. That's what changed certain parts of Harlem. That's what changed Brooklyn. I used to do shows at BAM around there on Flatbush, and it was hood. Now you go over there, it's $2 million. The money is going to change it. They're going to change the educational. I was addressing teachers, principals one time. I said, these people come in here, they're going to make it to the PTA meeting. You can't give them no shorts. That's going to change Newark. And if you don't change Newark, you're going to get pushed out. You're going to get pushed out. I mean, anytime you go on Baldwin Avenue and a 3-bedroom is $3,000 on Shanley, that's crazy, man. That's crazy, $3,000. A house. My man had a house on South 7th Street and South Orange Avenue. I think he bought for $150,000. He said, man, I just got an offer for $700,000 on South Orange Avenue and 7th Street, right across from the reservoir. I'm like,
and he better cash out.
He did. I'm like, whoa, man. He's like, unbelievable. But what happens is when people like that come, circumstances change. Their kids ain't gonna be on the corner like that. They ain't gonna allow nobody selling no drugs and stuff. It's going to change. The police is going to change. The education is going to change, and that's what's going to happen. And if we don't get with it, we're going to be pushed out. You're going to be pushed out. We're going to be pushed out in the middle.
I see that as much as they say, like, you like Michael Corleone. As much as they push you out and you try to get away, you get pulled back in. And I know you've been, supporting, not taking a side, but you've been basically supporting all the candidates.
Yeah.
Running, like, really understanding that the city needs an overhaul politically.
It needs a change. It needs a change. It needs a change. And it's like I did an article one time. I said they believe in total loyalty, and they don't believe in, man, I want somebody to tell me the truth and stuff like that, Because when I was cool, he would say stuff, and I said, well, man, how you gonna do that? He's like, I'm just gonna do it. I said, you can't say that, man. You can't. Because one day we was in the meeting, he said, I'm just going to take these abandoned houses and give them to Norkers. I said, you mean people houses that they own? He said, yeah. I said, you can't do that. Yeah, no, I'm gonna do it. I'll leave. I said, you can't do that. Now you could put liens on their houses, tax liens, and then you could try to do it, but you can't. You ain't taking nobody's stuff. And it's most of these things are owned by banks. They're not letting you take nothing, bro. But you don't know because you just saying I'm going to do it and stuff like that. You can't do it. And then it's like that bridge down there by Mulberry that's going to go over. It's been $70 million because he's seen it in Chelsea. That's New York. I remember Chelsea, man. You didn't remember it was all gay and stuff back in the 70s and stuff. They were wearing the rings around their nose and all because it was always a butcher area, and then it changed when somebody came in there and bought a house and fixed it up and it started flipping. Now it's rich and it changed the situation. But that's New York, man. Why would you spend $70 million on the bridge just to walk across the McCarter Highway? You could take this $70 million and maybe build 500 homes and then can sell them and stuff, and then build another 500 homes, and everybody can have a home. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just bad, but somebody ain't saying, yo, man, that ain't cool. What you doing that? Why you went about a bridge? And then people don't want that kind of people around them. Some people want to, and sometimes he don't have fractions with people, like that Willie Parker case where the lawyer said, I'm not signing this agreement. This is the worst agreement in the world. They gave the guy the land. Now the guy going to build sanitation, and then he's going to rent it from him for 50 years at crazy money. But it's your land. So then you look at it, he done gave you $90,000 in donations and stuff. I mean, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Really, it really is. It's amazing that even from afar, looking at everything, is that even if you don't want to go far and say that this stuff is illegal and corruption,
right.
at the least, it's unethical, and it reeks a lack of transparency because, like you said, sometimes the voice is, I'm doing it because I can. No.
Yeah.
It don't work like that. Everybody has checks and balances happening in government. But Alif, I appreciate you joining me, man, and being able to educate us. Yeah, being able to educate us, man, and we have a mutual friend. Your partner is my partner's father. Like you always say, he's the second best trainer in New Jersey that ever lived.
Back here?
Yeah.
Back here?
Yeah.
That's my man. That's my man.
So I appreciate you, man. I really appreciate you joining us, man, and giving us some insight on that particular incident and what happened, and how to prevent us from, because we're going to be in those positions, and people.
You make my heart smile when you say that was illegal by coming to see you, because a lot of people don't understand that. That I said that means he knows the law. He knows the law.
It's about honestly, I looked into it myself. It's about 9 things wrong in the state and the feds, and I'm gonna just be quiet and watch the tape play.
I
appreciate you.
Okay, brother.
All right.
So